Hello, my name is Carson Deisler, and this will be the first instructional video on the series of the trombone. I'm a music education major at Central Michigan University, and my primary instrument is the trombone. And I'm making these series of instructional videos to teach future students what they need to know, kind of the basics. And that's mainly what this first lesson will be, is just basically the basics of the trombone, from going from assembling it all the way to making your first sound. Okay, so if you have just bought a new trombone, or it could have been a used trombone, it's always going to be in a case. So this is the case of my trombone, and I'm just going to be showing you what should be inside it, what parts, and then we'll get into assembling the actual instrument. So you're going to unzip. Many cases can be different. Some have the traditional latch. Mine is a zipper. It goes all the way around, so however you need to open it. So assembling the trombone is quite easy compared to some other instruments because there are minimal parts to put together. The main three parts is the horn itself with the bell, the slide, and the mouthpiece. These are the only three individual parts that will come together. So when it comes to assembling the instrument, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So we're going to start off by taking the bell section of the horn out of the case. And then we're going to take the slide. Be sure that your slide lock is on, just in case you're not holding on to it and the slide comes down. That would be very bad and damage the slide. So basically, when you're looking at the slide, you have a longer piece right here that's sticking out, and then a shorter piece. The shorter piece is the mouthpiece lead pipe. This is just for the mouthpiece. This longer fitting right here is going to couple with the fitting here on the bell section. So you can see it comes down and there's a little screw here. So you're basically going to take the longer pipe on the slide and insert it into that fitting. Screw it in, and then you take the screw. You don't have to do it so tight to where you might not be able to get it undone. Just finger tight. And then, this is up to preference, the way you have it angled. I personally like angling it more in towards the bell. Other players might not do the same. It's just on your personal preference and how comfortable the instrument feels in your hand. And then the last piece is the mouthpiece. You should have a mouthpiece in your case. So this is my mouthpiece, and it goes into the other fitting on the slide, which is the lead pipe right here. And you just put it in. Now be very careful with this. You don't want to overdo, like I said with the slide lock here, you don't want to screw in the mouthpiece so tight that it becomes impossible to pull out. So all you need to do is plop it in and then just do a little turn. Almost just an inch is all you need till you feel a little tightness. You don't want to just crank it, because then you'll have to have a professional music educator pull it out, because it'll end up being stuck. And by the way, music educators, usually band directors especially, will have certain tools to take out the mouthpiece. If your mouthpiece ever gets stuck, don't just try going to your dad and having him get some of his tools out, because they're not the same. They're not going to work. In the long run, you'll damage the mouthpiece or the horn itself. So just go to your band director or instructor, and they'll help you out if your mouthpiece ever gets stuck. So now that we have the instrument assembled, let's go over the actual assembly of the instrument and how it is built. So your horn might be different from mine. This is a professional trombone, so it actually has an extra valve. Usually the beginner student trombones don't have the valve, so it might look a little different. But usually the construction is the same, just without the valve. So the bore size is actually bigger on this because it's a large bore. But yeah, so let's get into how to hold the instrument. So you're basically going to take your left hand and wrap it around. Now, this is different, obviously, because my trombone has a trigger with the valve. Some of you might not have the trigger to place your thumb, and that's okay. If the trigger's not there, then there's going to be a little fitting right here that you can rest your thumb on. But for me, I just rest mine on the trigger because mine has one. So you're going to wrap your fingers around the top part of the slide right here, and then your pinky on the bottom, the actual slide right here. And then when it comes time to holding the slide in your right hand, you don't want to use your full hand. You want the most efficient way of moving the slide. So all you need is 2 fingers and your thumb, and you just place them on the bottom of the slide right here with your thumb on top. No need to use your full fist because that disables efficiency in your slide moving. And then you also have the risk of running your hand into the bell, which is not what you want to do. And also another thing you don't want to do is have your fingers sticking out, because then you have a real big potential risk of hitting the slide with your fingers. So all you need is just your 2 fingers right here and your thumb, and that's all you really need. So now I want to talk about maintenance on the trombone and what you should do to well maintenance it and keep it as efficient as possible and in its most effective state. So when it comes to lubing the slide, there's different formulas or applicators you can use. I'm a big fan of the Yamaha slide lubricant. It's a little bit more of a different consistency because you also have stuff like cream that's much thicker. You could just use whatever works for you. So when it comes to actually applying it, I like to take the slide off. So we're actually going to disassemble the instrument. You just twist off the bell. And then I'm also going to take the mouthpiece out. So you're going to need your slide lubricant. You're also going to want to have on duty a spray bottle. This could just simply have water in it. You could also buy some with a little bit of mixture in it that helps with lubricating. But I just like having a bottle of water. And then you're also going to need a rag. This is really important because before you do anything, before you even put the applicant on, you're going to want to have to wipe the slide down with a rag because you have to get rid of the existing lubricant on there. Because otherwise, if you don't, you'll have potential sticking of the slide. So you want to wipe that down. So this is just a normal rag. And you're just going to wipe down the slide to make sure that the lubricant that was previously applied is removed, because you're not going to want to apply new lubricant on top of that. That'll just lead into some issues with your slide sticking or maybe becoming scratchy. And also when it comes to lubricating, you're going to want to lubricate at least once a week. The spray bottle I talked about with the water in it, I'll show you why that's going to be effective and why you won't have to lubricate your slide every single day with the spray bottle. Okay, so now that the slide is completely wiped off, you're going to take your applicant. You could have the cream. All you do with the cream is you take a little smidge and put it on your finger and then apply it to the end of the slide. This is a little different. So when you're applying it, it's got a little tip at the end, and you're just going to want to put it about the last 3 inches of the slide right here. Just apply a little bit on both sides. And then if you want, you could do a little bit up here on the top. The reason we don't have to do it along the whole slide is because what we're going to do here is actually put the inner slide fitting, which is this, into the outer slide fitting. And that's going to spread the lubricant across the whole inner slide. So you're going to take the outer slide and just start with one end, put it in, and then you're basically spreading the lubricant by doing this. That way you don't have to apply the slide cream or the lubricant across the whole slide. This is much more efficient. So just work it on there a little bit. And like I said, you only have to do this about once a week, because when we go to our next applicant, which is the water spray bottle, when you're putting water on, it's actually gonna enhance the lifespan of the slide lubricant, and it's gonna make it last longer. And then do the same for the other side on the slide fitting. Just spreading the lubricant on the inner slide. And take your time with this. You don't need to completely go bananas on the slide. Okay, now we're going to put the whole inner slide back in. And then you're going to take the bottle of water that I told you about, the spray bottle, and here's where the magic happens. This is a very crucial step. You're going to start spraying the inner slide that you just applied the lubricant on with the water bottle. And basically what this does is the water reacts to the chemicals of the slide lubricant or the slide cream and basically makes it last longer. So basically you're going to probably want to do you're going to probably want to spray on the slide about every day, and then only apply the lubricant probably once a week. So what you see here are actually little bubbles of the water, and that's good. These bubbles are almost like ball bearings, and that basically means that the water is reacting to the slide lubricant to where it's going to run much smoother. So when you see those bubbles on the water, or the water droplets, that's a really good thing. That's what you want. So now we want to do a test to see if the slide is lubricated enough. And this is something I like to do. Other band directors might have a different method of doing this to check if the slide is efficiently lubricated. But you basically just want to actually assemble the instrument before you do this. Would be a great idea. You're just going to hold the instrument in playing position and have it about this angle, and then put your hand down here and see if the slide moves on its own. And then you're obviously going to want to catch it at the end so it doesn't fly off. But if it doesn't move at that angle, that means you need a little bit more lubricant, a little bit more work to do with lubing the slide, because it should be able to move freely at this angle. So that is the end of this demonstration of the basics of the trombone. In the next lesson demonstration, I will be teaching all about the slide positions on the trombone and how they coordinate with different pitches and notes, and also a little bit of tuning and how tuning works on the trombone, because that's a little bit of a linked thing with slide position. So we'll all get into that. So thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something. Stay practicing.